a la media. Bienvenidos a Compass. Well, today is a special day. We'll have a sort of a recap of what is going on with the help of our crew here. This program is directed by Danny Ramos and Dylan Di Rosato. And they have told me before that I could not speak about Trump all the time, so I stopped. But now there are too many things going on, so here we are. What the title of this should be like The Trials of Donald Trump, which would never cease. I mean, this guy, since he left the White House and refused to attend the swearing-in ceremony of Joe Biden, refused to acknowledge that he lost the election. And so from that moment on, and even before then, he had been dedicating himself to attacks on the 2020 election. So a lot of his problems at that point and now stem from the fact that he and his followers refused to acknowledge that he lost the election of 2020. And they blamed the people who manufacture the voting machines. Trump and Jim Jordan and Lindsey Graham and Kevin McCarthy and all these followers, which nobody can understand why they continue to follow a man who lost the elections in. Well, first of all, he did not get a majority of the popular vote when he won the election, but he lost the midterms elections in 2018. He lost in 2020, 2022, and here we are about to enter another election in which I think he will lose again to Joe Biden. He is a candidate, a declared candidate, Donald Trump, for the 2024 presidential election. More than likely, he will be the nominee because as hard as it is to believe that people will still follow him, more than 60% of Republicans will still vote for Trump. With that in mind, there is very little opposition, credible opposition, to his becoming the candidate for the Republican Party in the 2024 election. Joe Biden has just announced that he will run, so we have a rematch, and all we can say for Biden is what he says all the time: just watch what I do. He has a great record of his 2 years as president, more than 2 years, and that's what he will run on. He has changed many things in our lives since he became president, for the better, because Trump left a trail of shame, and there's no other way to put it. So among his problems, and they're all they're all well known, and again, they stem from the big lie that he won the election of 2020 and that he was robbed because of Dominion, the manufacturer of the voting machines, had rigged the election. Among other things, there were other plots that people imagined that there was some Italian who control the voting machines from somewhere above in space. That people who were counting the votes in Georgia, for example, had contrived to take votes away from Trump to give them to Biden. So all these things are already established facts. And that's why Georgia started an investigation of the 2020 election. And the DA in Georgia, as we will mention later, the DA has taken steps to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Whatever Trump attempted to do in Georgia, trying to convince officials that he needed 11,700 votes that he never got. But the investigation, the indictments in Georgia, which are to come soon, will clarify that issue. In the meantime, Donald Trump was forced to appear in Manhattan to face criminal charges. Instead of a discreet flight from Mar-a-Lago to Manhattan, Trump chose the big plane with the sign that says Trump in gigantic letters. And a bunch of limousines, those dark SUVs following him to the courthouse. And a couple of the networks followed his departure from Mar-a-Lago, his arrival in New York, and his entourage going to the court. But he was not well received by New Yorkers. There were signs of people outside the courthouse saying, "Go back to Mar-a-Lago, New Yorkers don't like Trump, down with Trump," any number of signs. Marjorie Taylor Greene attempted to organize a counter demonstration in a nearby park, and she was promptly shouted out of the park and left with a tail between her legs. So that was another example of one of those people whose lives depend on telling the big lie. That's how she became an important member of Congress, sort of a lackey of the Speaker, because she contributed to Kevin McCarthy becoming the Speaker of the House. It was her campaign, it was her dealings with other congressmen that put McCarthy finally as Speaker of the House. And we know that he got the support of people who do not belong anywhere near Congress. George Santos being one of them, Marjorie Taylor Greene, another one, Jim Jones. Whatever his profession, he should go back to whatever he did. So all these individuals will be eventually discredited. History will be a harsh judgment of all these people that right now occupy our headlines. DA Bragg announced 34-count felony indictment. That was another historic first for the man who loves to celebrate historic firsts, even when they are not. And New Yorkers didn't give him a friendly reception, as we know. So, an indictment of 34 felonies, that didn't affect his braggadocio, because as soon as he returned to Mar-a-Lago, he took to the mics to complain about the racist DA, Bragg, and the unfair liberal media. And, well, the courts will have the final word on that. And right now, that all he is surrounded by lawyers. And we know many of the most capable lawyers have refused to take the job or have resigned after spending any time around Trump. So he's left with lawyers that have, untarnished, tarnished reputations, I would say. Joe Tacopina being one of them. And he is taking the lead in another case that has Trump in court being accused of rape. And that happened a long time ago. This woman who accused him and is now in court says that he attacked her in a department store. And Tacopina apparently was very harsh in his questioning of this woman in court. And when she finally reacted, and she said, I did not scream, and even if I didn't scream, he did rape me, said Jean, I forgot her last name. But anyway, she was reacting to the questioning by this lawyer. His questioning backfired. Jean Carroll is the name of the woman. Her reaction was very strong, and we cannot help but probably the jury listening to the questioning and the answers from the woman who accused Trump of rape. I think the jury might have been impressed. Two things: by the harsh questionings of Tacopina and by the tearful reaction of Carol. So at this point, Trump is under a 34-count indictment in Manhattan, being accused of rape, being accused of trying to corrupt the election in Georgia, among other things. He also has to deal with the documents that he took to Mar-a-Lago, which he should not have taken. And we know that's another story altogether. And there is a special prosecutor, I think it's Jack Smith, assigned to that case. And so we're still waiting to see what happens there. In Georgia, it is expected that the DA will issue a decision, an indictment, and here's another sign of the times. This is how much Trump did to damage our institutions. And if you want to list to them, just from the top of my head, I can tell you he did damage to the judiciary by the way he appointed judges. He did damage to our intelligence. 17 intelligence agencies were set aside when Mr. Trump said, I believe Putin. He did damage to our foreign policy, but siding with Putin against our government. He did damage to the media, accusing the media of being unfair to him everywhere, when everybody was just pointing out, these are the facts, Mr. Trump. He did damage to women with promoting this policy that he did not believe in, but that led to a change in the courts to put an end, in a way, an end to Roe versus Wade, and giving the states the power to decide matters of abortion and birth control and etc. So here we are. We have a long list of where he did damage. He did damage anywhere. Everything he touched. It was like Midas in reverse. Everything he touched, every individual he approached, who worked with him, lawyers, politicians, employees, anybody around him, their careers have ended, have changed for the worse, or they're still in court trying to appeal the results of having been involved in the 2020 election in any way. So it's a very short list that I just gave you, but there is thousands of facts that we could list about the damage Mr. Trump did to this nation. He created a climate that made it possible for the dormant racist feelings that many held to start attacking individuals, start attacking Jews. I just heard 70,000 times that the internet or social media has announced that Hitler was right. Imagine that. If you're a Jewish person and 70,000 times you have heard that Hitler was right. And why is that? I mean, Trump is not alone in his racist thinking, but he certainly gave a platform to these people, to the Oath Keepers, to the Proud Boys, to all the racists that believe. Tucker Carlson, that's another individual that we should mention in this context, that believed what Tucker Carlson kept repeating every night, this replacement theory that the liberals and the Democrats are bringing people in and to replace the white majority, making this country full of minorities, especially dark people. They don't want anybody. I remember Trump saying that he wanted more Norwegians to come to this country. So, speaking of Tucker Carlson, he was just fired by Rupert Murdoch. Why? Well, among other things, because the owner of Fox Media, had to pay a lot of money, 700 and more millions, to pay for the lie that Tucker Carlson kept repeating every night, that the election was rigged and that this company that manufactured the voting machines was responsible for creating that. So it's unbelievable that this individual was practically in control of all the policies of the GOP. A very vocal support of Donald Trump, very eloquent. He's apparently a good writer. He's an appealing TV personality. And imagine this, every night people turn to Fox at this particular time to listen to all the vitriol, all the lies that Tucker Carlson spewed, only to find out They don't want to hear it, the people who listen to him. They don't want to hear it. But some texts, some emails have revealed that Carson actually hates Trump, despises Trump. So why was he repeating this lie all the time? Because Fox and the CEO at Fox and the upper echelon of Fox, along with Tucker Carlson, figured out that the only way to hold on to that audience that they have, all the Trump supporters, was to keep repeating the same lie over and over. They lie about the vaccine. They lied about the election. They lied about Dr. Fauci. They tried to destroy the lives and the reputation of many individuals. Dr. Fauci was certainly one of their targets, as we might recall. And Trump wanted to be the authority on COVID. And we recall also the way he reacted to COVID after he came back from the hospital and ostentatiously removed the mask to say, you know, I am a Superman, which apparently is what his doctor said to him. Or let's put it this way: whatever the doctor said, the report that was supposed to be written by the doctor sounded more like Trump, because according to that report, Trump had the stamina, the energy of a 30-year-old man. And so that could only have been written by Trump himself. So all this continues at this point because the GOP is still dominated by this man. So he's running again. Nobody's going to be able to stop him from getting the nomination. And so we're going to see a confrontation between Biden and Trump once more. One of those debates that will probably have a record audience if it takes place. I would like to know if the Biden people would agree to a debate or even more debates, because my feeling is that they should avoid it, because Trump does not debate facts, does not debate issues. He will do attacks ad hominem. We will hear that the president is old. It doesn't matter that Trump is the same age practically. And we will hear that Biden is not up to the task. We will hear that his ideas are too liberal, etc., etc. But more than anything, we will hear attacks on the very person of the president, and we'll probably repeat the lie that was told by Tucker Carlson and others about Biden's son, Hunter Biden, and his laptop that was lost and then found. It doesn't matter if there are courts, if there are investigations that exonerate Hunter Biden. I'm not defending him. I don't think he's a good person, but that has nothing to do with Joe Biden. But that's what we will hear. So the lies that Trump keeps telling us will be the lies that he will try to repeat over and over. Why is he allowed to run? I was wondering at some point, why a felon, somebody who's been, twice the Congress of the U.S. impeached him. He's been accused by the Manhattan DA of 34 felonies. Why is he allowed to run for office? I would think that would discredit most people. But there we are. Why is he allowed to do that? Well, legally, he is allowed. Morally, intellectually, emotionally, in this country, he should not be allowed to run for anything. He is the more unqualified, unethical individual ever to occupy that office. But apparently we're stuck with him. And we will continue to hear all the lies once more. Even his vice president, Pence, had to go to court to testify against Trump. He spent 7 hours in a federal grand jury that was impaneled by Jack Smith. So we will hear the report from that. We'll never get to see the transcript, and we will not know exactly what Trump said, what Pence said about Trump. But he is one person close to Trump who actually knows a lot more than he has said about January 6th and the plot to overturn the election and the invasion of the Capitol that threatened to kill Pence. Remember, there was a noose waiting for him, and that put a lot of Congress people in danger. Nancy Pelosi among them, and other senators. But anyway, so we'll wait for that report, and we will wait to see what other indictments come down the pike against this very corrupt, very unethical, unqualified individual who's still running for president. So that has been a summary of where Mr. Trump is right now. Thank you for listening to us. Se despide Fernando Mendez aquí en Compass. Este programa lo dirigió Dani Ramos y Dylan Di Rosato. Hasta la próxima. Pagano's Market and Bar has been serving gourmet Italian foods in Center City for 3 generations. Call Matthew Pagano for all your catering needs, and during these difficult times, please mention Fernando Mendez and receive a nice discount along with free delivery. Pagano's also makes the finest gift boxes in the city for all your holiday needs. Visit paganosmarketandbar.com.